Those donut balls are really good. Really good. Like I want.
Alright, is everyone ready? Hello, my name is OLeverone, and I'm so excited to be able to share my senior project with you all today. In the months before my senior year started, I began to make a list of possible project ideas. And I eventually accumulated a large list of about 10 items, so I sat down one night and I went through all the ones I wanted to do the most. And I eventually narrowed it down to sports medicine and physical fitness. And I've always been an athlete my entire life, playing sports ever since I can remember: softball, soccer, skiing, horseback riding, just to name a few of the various sports I participated in. And I've always thought maybe sports medicine as a future career path for me. So at this point, I started to look around for a possible internship and mentor, and I first thought of the UVA Department of Sports Medicine. And I emailed them, and they didn't reply back to any of my emails, which was unfortunate. And I called them, and they didn't really know who was in charge of the student internships there. So I decided to maybe try to pursue a more local internship, and I came across through the recommendation of some Nelson County residents, Five Star Fitness, located in Afton, Virginia. And I contacted Mr. George Lusake, the owner of Five Star Fitness. He's a licensed physical trainer, and he agreed to be my mentor. But he doesn't really work specifically with sports medicine, so there I narrowed my topic down even further. And while I was there, I got to observe and participate in a lot of his classes, use a lot of his equipment, and I got to work one-on-one with a lot of his clients. And during this entire time, I was trying to formulate my research question, and it was a different question than I first intended, but I eventually came to: what is the best way to help heal bone joints over time? While I was there, many of his clientele, I realized, were over the age of 50, and they came for specific reasons, and many of them had to do with bone joint injuries, and problems such as many of the common ones were osteoporosis, scoliosis, and arthritis. And when I proposed this question to my mentor, he completely supported it and wanted to help me even further by letting me work one-on-one with one of his clients who had golfer's elbow, which is scientifically known as medial epicondylitis, and a tight iliotibial band, or more commonly referred to as a tight IT band. And it went really well, and I got to know her pretty well and a lot of his clients really well. And they said that through the means of exercise and physical fitness isn't the only way you can treat joint pain. Another way is through the means of physical therapy and different types of therapies. And so now I was trying to find a place to maybe do my community service, and I knew the Jefferson Area Board of Aging, which is located in the Livingston Community Center. So I first tried to contact them, and they gave me the wrong number. So I instead came in contact with Livingston Physical Therapy, which is located in the same place. And this actually turned out for the better because I really enjoyed my internship there. I got to work with, here's my mentors. This is Sherry Beckman and her assistant Nick, and they both helped me quite a lot. And I really enjoyed my time there, and I plan on maybe going back there sometime during the summer. And I even went back there during spring break to cover for Nick while he was gone on vacation. And a lot of the equipment that they had there was similar to um, George's, in which they would help to try to improve the client's posture and balance, and which in turn would reduce the amount of stress placed on the bones. But they would also use different types of therapies, such as heat and cold therapy. And heat therapy is used to increase blood circulation, and cold therapy is used to reduce inflammation. So both of those would, of course, reduce the pain. But it's used correspondingly with electrical stimulation. In electrical stimulation, you place small pads along the affected area, which send electrical waves throughout the pained area, and these waves interrupt. There's two theories as to how this works. One is that it interrupts the pain messages from the area to the brain, therefore reducing the pain. And the other is that it increases the production of endorphins, which are natural pain relievers. And of course, that would help to reduce the pain as well. So all these therapies people really enjoy, which I found interesting because I didn't think electrical stimulation would necessarily be an enjoyable source of treatment. But it seemed to also work very well, and people would come back to do more of these therapies and even request them over some of the exercises and exercise equipment and use them in place. So, well, after my community service and internship, I eventually came to the ultimate conclusion in answer to my research question, what is the best way to heal joint pain? And my answer is through the means of physical therapy and fitness. And, oh, whoops. Sorry. And so using this newfound knowledge, I wanted to benefit my community somehow. So I developed a 13-question survey, which I distributed among the residents of Nelson County. It was based on physical fitness and the availability of exercise classes and fitness clubs in Nelson County. And so here are some of my notable results. This one is what people want to be more accessible or available in Nelson County. Right here, the blue is nothing, which I found interesting because I always think that there's ways that we can help improve our community. The red here is more exercise classes, and the orange is other, and this was a short answer question, so I went through each one of the questions, and there was 59 surveyors, so it took quite a while. But the orange were things that were not very specific, sort of things like badminton or pickleball or mountain bike paths, things that didn't apply to everyone. And the green here was a public swimming pool, which I completely support. I think that we need to have a pool that all the residents of Nelson County can use without having to pay for an expensive membership. And the purple is an exercise classes for the elderly. The light blue is a county-run fitness center, and the red is a larger chain fitness center, and those were not brought up quite as well with these large sections there. Here are some barriers that prevent people from participating in a fitness class or exercising. The biggest one was time, which is understandable because many people are still working or they have jobs, which is the same thing, which prevent them from, because a lot of these exercise classes are available at very specific times, so they can't get to them in time. Cost is a big issue. Many classes are only offered through Wintergreen or Anytime Fitness, and they require a monthly membership fee, which is pretty expensive. And accessibility, which is understandable because we live in a rural county. It's hard to get from one place to another. We all live pretty far away. They're only centralized, a lot of these places, in the Stony Creek area or the Livingston area, so not everyone has the best accessibility to these fitness clubs, exercise classes. Would you like to attend an exercise class or be part of a fitness club? This is the small amount of people who do already attend an exercise class or are part of the fitness club, and that's pretty small. It's only 20%. And the large red portion right there are the amount of people who would like to be part of fitness clubs. I think that we could definitely try to improve this. We can definitely try to make things more accessible or costless. If you look back at the barriers, I think that we could use some of this data to help improve our community. So I submitted my results to Nelson County Parks and Rec, and I don't know necessarily what they're planning on using it for at the moment. They haven't told me, but if you would like to learn and keep up to date with what they plan on doing, you can email me, and I'll try to let you know. And as for my future, I'm going to Virginia Tech. I'm majoring in general biosciences, and I plan on getting my master's and doctorate in an interesting biomedical field. And my advice for future seniors is to be organized, be on time, listen to Miss Sanders, she knows what she's talking about, and be comfortable talking to people in the phone. Yeah. And here is my senior quote. And is there any questions starting this one?
Olivia, I'm really interested in the survey that you sent out. I was sending out a survey to find out where there is interest and where there are barriers to increasing opportunities for physical fitness. I think that's really interesting. But you said there were 59 responses. So I'm really curious about the number of surveys you distributed, where and to whom you distributed them, and whether you feel like you managed to reach a representative portion of the population.
Okay, so I distributed them among probably I'd say about 120 people. A lot of them were in paper, so or I gave them to different types of offices, physical therapy offices, so they might not have all been filled out. Some of them were distributed online, and many of those were filled out. I found that that was easier for people to do because they could just click a little button and it would submit automatically. So the paper ones weren't really a good idea, and because of that, there was more electronically submitted surveys, it might have been most of the surveyors were between the ages of 50 and 70, and so maybe those would be the more technologically inclined age groups. So it wasn't very representative of those over the age of 70.
And at the same time, considering the inconsistent internet access in the county,
Yes.
there may be a huge amount of the population that was not reached because they didn't have access to that online. So my follow-up to that, you mentioned that you submitted this information to Nelson County Parks and Rec, and am I correct in recalling that they said you could contact them to see what they were going to do with it? Have you contacted them at this point, and do they have any suggestion of what they will do with that information, or any?
I've talked to Emily Harper, who is the head, and she said that she has the research and she's going to go through it, and she hasn't really moved past that. So I'm still waiting. I'm going to probably email her again sometime soon, but if you would like to hear more about it, I can let you know what's going on.
Sure, thank you.
Any more questions?
Did what you did for your topic influence your choice of college and major in any way?
That's a tough question. I think that I found that I like to be around other people, and I like to help others, which is why I chose a biomedical field instead of maybe an environmental science field, which is my second choice, and I'm probably still going to minor in environmental science, but that sort of was what I found helped me personally choose what I want. Any more questions?
When you were at the 5-Star Fitness, what kind of things did you get to do to get to lead the group exercise activities? Or did you just kind of shadow George?
I mostly shadowed. I got to, like I said, work one-on-one with one of his clients, and I got to work personally with her and sort of lead a lot of the exercises. But and I got to use a lot of his equipment. I sort of participated in many of his classes too, so I almost went in as one of his clients to experience it firsthand. I didn't really get to lead any of his classes necessarily, but I did get to work one-on-one with clients. And I got to work more with at the Livingston Physical Therapy. I got to work more with the clients there. I got to basically do most of the duties that Nick does while he's there. He's a certified PT assistant, which was really nice.
Did you run into any of the privacy kind of issues that we talked about?
Yeah. I had a lot of issues with confidentiality. That's why I don't have that much or that many pictures, because I had to sign a little waiver at the beginning of both of my internship and my community service. So I couldn't take pictures of the clients or me working with the clients, or and I couldn't share any personal information. I actually got to see most of what they had, but I can't tell you anything about it. So I thought that was sort of hard, because there's a lot of things that I found out personally that I would like to share, but I can't, like in my research paper or in my senior presentation.
This is more of just a comment, but I just want you to know that your choice of places to work with were excellent. 5-Star and Livingston would be probably the best choices you could have made as far as in Nelson County go.
Thank you, Alex. Through your help too. All right, any more questions?
Alrighty.